When we think about different services, you'll hear these types of terminologies quite a bit. The whole concept of X as a service is something that, literally you can put anything you want in as X, and you probably will find something that somebody's marketing to. I've even heard service as a service, which is absolutely insane, but hey, it's out there, and that's what happens when marketing people have time on their hands. But in order to be able to understand it, let's go ahead and dive into some of the more common services that you'll hear out there. So the first one is SaaS. So SaaS is something that's been around for quite some time, and it's probably one of the first services that as an end user you're going to be very familiar with. And it's typically offered as a fully functional application. So like in the case of Box or Dropbox, for example, many of you use that as a way to be able to share files. That's an example of a software as a service. Email is also being offered as a service. In a lot of cases, organizations aren't hosting email internally anymore. They're using services that are offered via Microsoft or Google or other types of organizations like that. In addition, you'll see CRM applications, point-of-sale applications. Literally, there's tons and tons of pieces of software that's being offered in this model. But the important thing to understand is it's generally focused and targeted towards the end user. The platform as a service is a little different. This one is one that's focused more on building an environment that a developer can then add capabilities to. So it's an operating environment more than anything. And it's generally offered from a hosting perspective, and there's many different services that are added to it. The cool thing about a platform as a service is it allows the developer to focus on key parts of their application and not have to manage the infrastructure or the components underneath. So for example, in the case of database services or network services, if you are leveraging a platform as a service, you wouldn't have to worry about any of those pieces. Last but not least is infrastructure as a service. Infrastructure as a service is one that really allows you to be able to leverage a lot of the core functions and things that you would typically do from a networking perspective. It automates the deployment in a lot of cases of compute, storage, networking, virtualization, and services. It's really designed to be able to offer a way to be able to augment the capabilities you have internally and to be able to leverage the capabilities of that pooling resources model that we talked about before. And it's generally focused towards that network engineering or data center engineering type of individual. So let's dig a little bit more into what these different services models mean. So from a cloud services model, we've talked a lot about some of the different capabilities. And it really kind of comes down to how much of control and how much work you have to do to be able to leverage them. So traditional IT, you are responsible for the entire stack. Everything from the networking, the storage, servers, virtualization, all that stuff, you are responsible for it, all the way up to the application. When you move into infrastructure as a service, a lot of those other things are delivered for you. Everything from operating systems down to networking, that's all provided for you. And the thing that you need to focus on is the middleware, the runtime application, the data, all those different things. So it helps to reduce a lot of those capabilities and a lot of those things that you have to pay attention to. Platform as a service gets even smaller, where again, you can focus more on the application of the data side, and everything else is going to be delivered as a service for you. And then of course, on the software as a service side, it's all taken care of for you. You just run the application. So to make this a little bit more real, let's talk about an example that's a little fun. So imagine you're running a pizza shop. There's a lot of different ways that you can provide pizza to your customer. You can provide your traditional on-premise environment, right? Which, so in the case of, what you would do in your traditional IT environment, you would basically, in the case of running this pizza shop, you'd have to be responsible for the cheese, the toppings, the tomato sauce, all the way up to the dining tables, the soda, electric, gas, everything, right? This is what you would have to be responsible for. You're pretty much running the whole thing. But in the case of infrastructure as a service, if we take that example, to the pizza analogy, here you would only have to be able to be responsible for the fire, the oven, the electric, gas, the soda, the dining table, the pizza dough, the tomato sauce, all that stuff would be provided to you. Maybe that's shipped in, right? So it's a way to be able to get the capabilities that you would normally have to take care of yourself and be able to have it delivered as a service, allowing you to be able to make your pizzas faster in a lot of cases. And then if we go to the pizza delivery model, that's where you basically all you have to provide is a place to eat it and maybe a soft drink to drink. Everything else is supported for you. It's all cooked for you and delivered to you right at your door. And then the other example is dining out. This is that example of software as a service, where everything is supplied for you. You just show up and enjoy your pizza. So that's just an example, kind of at least hopefully providing a little bit more clarity in how these things sit. And again, it's a fun way to be able to think of how all these different services fit together. So some examples of these different services. So on the SaaS side, a very common one is Salesforce.com. This is one that most organizations are running if they've got a Salesforce that they're currently managing. And Salesforce.com is very well known in this environment. So it's offered as a software as a service, but the interesting thing here is Salesforce.com also can be provided as a platform too. So some of these kind of blend the lines between them, but in the case of Salesforce.com, you can buy all the capabilities right out of the box. But if you want to extend it and you want to add more capabilities, that option is there. Oracle On Demand, another example of a software as a service. For the Oracle database services, a lot of the different capabilities that Oracle offers, you can get that pretty much as a software as a service. Same thing with SAP. So from a platform as a service perspective, we've got Amazon Web Services in here as an example. Now, many of you would argue, and in some cases the marketing that Amazon does, really doesn't show itself as being a platform as a service. But if you look at all the capabilities that they offer, in many cases they do provide more of a platform. And the challenges you've got with a platform is the fact that in a lot of cases, if you start writing your software to that platform, you're pretty much stuck with that platform. It's very difficult to be able to move off of it. So it's important to understand that this platform as a service, is something that is being offered with examples of Amazon as well as Windows Azure. Right? So those, again, are ways to be able to build your applications on top of these platforms and leveraging all that underlying technology. And then from an infrastructure as a service perspective, you've got Amazon Web Services, you've got Rackspace and Savvis. These are all examples of where you will typically see these kind of vendors in these different spaces.